and gentlemen, welcome to the first day of the 12th Global Energy Parliament 2022. The first session will be chaired by the Deputy Speaker of Global Energy Parliament, Dr. Kiran Vyas.
Now the oath has been taken, we shall straight away, without anything, start with the questions. The first question, I think it is from the Honorable Member Clara Cressy. So, Clara, please present your question to the Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Kiran Vyas. My pranam to Swamiji and to all the dignitaries who are here today. So, this is my question. Innovation is a creation process starting from thoughts, emotions, and actions. With AI, a machine is able to have digital thoughts, and some AI simulate emotional behavior and making autonomous innovations. We hardly believe the output would be positive because the quality of the digital energy is much different from a human energy. What are your views about artificial innovation versus human innovation? Thank you.
So the question is to the Honorable Minister for Innovation, Professor Sudhanshu Rai.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, everybody. Happy energy, positive energy to all. I want to address this in three parts. The first part is, I think innovation has been misunderstood in our narrative. We think that innovation is an individual endeavor to create new things. I think historically, that really is not true. If you look at it very minutely, it is not true because innovation actually occurs in communities and it occurs in small bits and bytes. So you can't, so nobody can say that the phone was invented by one person. He may have taken the thing, but it was a community effort. So, I mean, we need to understand innovation as not as a singular endeavor, but as a sharing of knowledge and the collective insight and meaning making. And if you look at innovation from this point of view, and then observe what is going on in the world today, it brings us to the second point. And the second point is that we need to acknowledge that communities are not perfect and human beings are not perfect. So therefore, if we are dreaming about artificial intelligence, it is artificial because it builds into the artifact the limitations of the human being. So in my understanding of artificial intelligence, it can never be perfect because human beings are not perfect. Furthermore, there is a fundamental misunderstanding of artificial intelligence. One, that it is a linear system. It is a system that can accumulate and crunch a lot of data far better than a human mind can, and it can give you an insight. But the insight is only along the same trajectory as the collective data. Artificial intelligence, it is contextually unintelligent, and it is inferentially incapable. So long as it is a deductive problem we are trying to solve, artificial intelligence works perfectly well, and it can, and human beings, despite their weaknesses, can create systems that are linear in nature and that have the potential to create huge data crunching sequences and give us some ideas. But what it cannot do, at least not as far as my imagination goes, that it cannot be inferential in nature, and artificial intelligence finds it very difficult to understand context. So so long as these two remain at the realm of the human consciousness, I think artificial intelligence would be a pie in the sky. It will be interesting. It will be fantastic a way to crunch huge data, but only in a linear form. Why? Because human being by nature, we are not complete. So how can an incomplete system create a complete perfect system? I mean, that's a logical fallacy for me. And the third part is the most interesting part is that it has the potential to help us all. But fear is not the way to deal with new technology. Fear is only, it stops us from innovating as a community. But we need to look at the potential of the technology to see what it can do for us so long as it is linear in nature. But inferentially, contextually, artificial intelligence finds it very difficult to help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Rai. It was a very, very interesting reply, and I fully agree with you. So the second question is from Honorable Member Kumari Sandra. This question, please, is to the Minister of Education, Dr. V. Reghu. Put your questions, please.
Thank you, sir. Pranam Swamiji. Warm evening to on and all gathered here on and off the dais. It was a wonderful evening, I should say. And I express my sincere gratitude to the team. And I have a concern, and my concern is to Honorable Minister of Education. Sir, every human being is different, and individual different reflects in their choices, perception, perspection, attitude, etc. in each and every domain. Technology always creates a world, a personalized world for every human where no one can enter. Where is the limit of freedom or borderline of freedom in this digital era to sustain humanity, and how a unified solution is possible while individual difference exactly exists? Can you reply with a special reference to our adolescents out there?
Minister of Education, Dr. Reghu, please.
Respected Swamiji, my brothers and sisters from 25 countries, welcome to this session. There is a very relevant question raised from Shanta. It is related to technology and the individual freedom, individual difference. Of course, the question is very, very relevant. Now, we live in a digital world. Of course, all of us are aware about it. Lot of changes have taken place, especially during the pandemic period. We have seen drastic changes. We have seen the influence of technology in teaching, learning, monitoring, evaluation, lot of areas. We have seen that. Now, if you look at the world, we can divide the world into two areas. One is developed countries, other is developing countries. Of course, we have to admit the infrastructure facilities and other support system are definitely different in developed economies. Now, I am talking from India, where we have not less than 6 lakh villages and lakhs of schools. And we have our own limitations in training or equipping the teachers, providing facilities, technological support, individual attention. There are differences, there are difficulties, there are problems. We have to admit that. Now we are going through a national education policy, which is known as NEP 2020, where focus is given on child-centered education. Especially when we talk about schools, most of the Indian schools are overloaded. Not less than 30 plus students are there. Teachers are not getting sufficient time because they have got a curriculum, they have got a syllabus, they are supposed to finish everything within the limited time frame. So this is a problem they are facing. So how can we address the issue? Now we need a reorientation to the teachers. The individual difference is something very important in the case of small boys and girls and adolescents. Can we think about training teachers as counselors and as mentors so that they will be able to pay personal attention to the students, maybe before the class or after the class, if possible during the class. So the system, the administrators, educational administrators will have to pay attention on that and make sure that the students are given personal attention. That is in brief. Thank you very much for your patient listen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Excellent. Really speaking on education, just recently published book of our founder, Swami Isha. And this book on education has been even presented by His Excellency, our speaker, His Excellency, the Governor of Bengal, Dr. Bose. He gave this book to the President of India, Madame Murmu Draupadi. So this book contains, in fact, all the solutions to what even UNESCO last year talked about. UNESCO and some international organizations could pose the questions, but the answer was and is in this book. So the third question is from the Honorable Member Wilson Matthew to the Minister for Finance, Professor V. Unnikrishnan Nayar.
Thank you, Speaker, sir.
Yes.
My question to the Honorable Finance Minister, through you, sir.
Yes.
Will the digital currency benefit the common people of the world? And my second question, can common people operate digital currency without awareness program?
Yes, the Honorable Finance Minister, please.
Pranams to Swamiji and the members of the Global Energy Parliament. This is a current question. Digital currency came into existence without much publicity. It is an arrangement between different 2 or 3 firms or 2 or 3 companies. They carried out the transactions through this digital currency. This digital currency, they made it and in such a way that other people will not have any access to that. And what will be the effect? We know the taxes or any other thing that these currency transactions will not come into play. That is only between the 2 companies or 2 firms. That is operating, and we know the well-known digital currency Bitcoin. It was transferred from one company to another company, and that remained in their computer. But nobody else can access that. Then other digital currencies also came into existence. Some similar things came. And then the problem came, how to control it. And when this came, some countries started banning these digital currencies. One country was especially China. When this came in a large way, they banned it. And now they have introduced their own digital currency. Similarly, India also has our own digital currency that can be transferred from one company or one company to another company like that. And that is come into play. And I think around 25 countries are now having digital currencies issued by their own central bank. That is operating now. And our country, India, also is having a digital rupee, which can be transferred from one firm to another firm. And individually, I have not seen some people using this digital currency till see, they can use it, but the digital currencies are mainly from coming between the 2 firms, and they are translating between them, are transferring between them. This is happening now. And there, one thing is clear: when the digital currency issued by the central bank is coming into play, the central bank has an arrangement, and they can always control the transfer of these digital currencies. It is not like the digital currency which was prevalent earlier. Then there was no such arrangement, and some people say that particular digital currency was very valuable and the other digital currency was not valuable, and like that. And some individually, some people has also taken there, and some have lost money. That also has happened. And so sometimes the digital currency goes up in price. So that is also happening. But a certain control has come in, and some of the countries have joined in. And I think some countries in Europe, and also they are planning to have the digital currency. Similarly, United States have I think they have started the digital currency, or they are planning to start the digital currency like that. So that is coming into play, and the purpose is for the transfer through the present arrangement, that is the computers. There is no physical currency presence. So that is the state of aware, and how it will affect the common man, that we don't know, because we never transact in digital currency, and we are actually transferring from one to another person by physical currency. So once you are going into the digital currency, you have to look into the rules and regulations. Then only we can say whether it will be safe. I think my answer will satisfy the questioner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Unnikrishnan Nayar. It was a very clear answer to the question. We shall move on to the next question. But at the same time, I would like to remind all the ministers as well as all the members that these things, if they could be put up as a resolution, so at the end, we shall pass these resolutions, and then these resolutions could be put up to the different governments, to the different organizations, as we have decided as GEP. We shall go towards the next question now, if you do not mind. This question would be from the Honorable Member Stephanie Passer to for the Housing Minister, Professor G. Shankar. Please, Stephanie, please put your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pranams to Swamiji, and good afternoon, good morning, and good day to everyone, all the members. My question is the following. In the so-called smart home, household appliances interact by recognizing certain environmental stimuli, for instance, movements, and then they inform our central control element. And in this way, a connected home makes it possible to make it easier by optimizing those tedious daily tasks through routines. And I would like to ask the Honorable Minister to briefly outline the impact on human beings that live in such an environment that, on the one hand, it places them in a position of high comfort, and on the other hand, it exposes them permanently to an electromagnetic field. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your brilliant question. But I want to actually put it in a context. I respond to this question. Before I respond to this question, I will have two determinants. One is I want to put it in a third world context. I'm from the third world, and the answer from the third world is going to be completely different from a first world response in terms of conveniences, in terms of the living environment. Two, the topic of this discussion is about humane digitalization. And I'll respond to you keeping these determinants into the deliberations, because this context is very important to me, because I'm basically an architect working in the third world countries. And to me, digitalization, smart buildings, intelligent buildings take a completely different tone, completely different meaning. For instance, automation. We are in a country where we are talking about a huge housing deficit of more than 50 million. 50 million housing units are needed in India to wipe out the houselessness. When you're talking about these staggering numbers, you're just trying to dream about an adequate house, which will have a proper toilet, which will have a proper cooking space. So this is the context in which we have to, from the third world, will have to look at automation and smart and intelligent building. What is an intelligent building all about? It's not about sensors to us. This is why I wanted to put it in a regional context. It is not about sensors. It's not about, we have gradings, you know the gradings that we get for green buildings. They talk about green glazing and green air conditioning. I personally, as an activist architect, I don't believe that there is something called green air conditioning. Air conditioning, that process cannot be green. We use a different gas as an alternative to run the machine. It doesn't really mean green. But unfortunately, the world over, its governance are different, indicators are different, and things like that. To me, smart building means that responds to the physical climate of the region. For instance, during COVID times, India was badly affected by the COVID. And one of the things that people asked was, every doctor was telling the patient that you need buildings, rooms with nice cross ventilation. When you open the windows, the air should come in and pass through you. I mean, you're talking about that kind of a comfort zone, not about artificial, contrived thing. Just for your information, I mean, since you asked this question, let me tell you that, just for your information, the indoor air quality is a huge indicator of sustainability in the present context. Indoor air quality. I'm telling you, when you're sitting in an air-conditioned room, we are living in a contrived, I call air conditioning as a contrived environment, you know. When you're sitting in an conditioned air-conditioned room, we are talking about 100% more polluted air. I'm telling you, the atmospheric air, we believe that atmospheric air is more polluted, but I'm telling you, the indoor air quality of air-conditioned rooms, when you're sitting inside, you're talking about breeding millions of insects and little mutant inside, and what are we talking about? This is what I call a smart. Get a nice cross ventilation, use local materials and technologies, use sustainable materials. We are talking about climate resilient architecture now. This is how you should take it. People don't want, see, the whole thing, the automation talks about two things. It talks about comfort. It's not very relevant for in a third world context. We're trying to survive, and this is not very relevant in the third world context. When I talk about that, when I talk about smart digitalization, we are talking about 3D printers that will create buildings. 3D printers, to me, cannot be a substitute for human innovation and creativity. I'm telling you, we are talking about buildings that will address metaphysical requirements. We want a place to pray, a place to meditate. The building should respond to that. You get it? I mean, it has to respond to metaphysical. The computer will not understand what junk you put in, the junk will come out. So the computer will not be able to understand these kind of things. And that is where I am going to stop because my time is up. I'm sorry, I've taken a completely different this thing, but how can I hide my feelings? This is my take on automation, and this is my feel on digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shankar. It was a very good reply. And if there is no other question, shall we go to the next question? So this is the question from the Honorable Member, Ruth Uzoma Okeima, I'm sorry for the pronunciation, to the Honorable Minister for Health, Dr. Faulkner Meissner, a friend and a great advisor as far as the health is concerned. Most welcome, Dr. Meissner. Please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from Nigeria. I'm glad to be here. My name is Dr. Okeima Ruth. I am a board certified integrative medical officer. So my question is to the Honorable Minister for Health. Honorable Minister, sir, Integrative medicine is a form of medical therapy that combines practices and treatment from alternative and conventional medicine. In integrative medicine, we combine the well-researched conventional medicine with the most well-researched evidence-based complementary therapies to achieve the appropriate holistic care for each person. Since we are talking about maintaining our humanity in the digital future, Honorable Minister, sir, what is the global future for integrative medicine, for which I know Ayurveda, acupuncture is one of the most cardinal points in integrative medicine? What is the role of digital health, or what have we put in place globally to make sure that integrative medicine will be maintained in the future? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. I'm an integrative medical doctor as well, so I understand your question very well. For this part, I would like to focus on public health related issues. I think that it's not only necessary to include integrative medical doctors, so I'd say that we should include also lay persons who know about these connections, about these issues. I think that mental health is primarily public health, and digitalization is, let's say, interacting in different ways. So we need to distinguish between digitalization or health digitalization on the basis of supporting interventions on the one side, and as cause of increased numbers of ill people on the other side, but just using them. For the latter, the Honorable Minister for Housing, Professor Shankar, has addressed the aspects. So there are a lot of dangers coming just by using digital data because of the 5G bands, whatever is there. And mental health is public health. And for example, depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide, and it's estimated to affect more than 260 million people globally. And there's a strong relationship between depression and heart disease in the sense of comorbidity. So even more people are involved. And as we know in integrative medicine, about 60 to 70% of the causes of chronic diseases are based on toxic relationships. So this covers up a lot of things. Not to be too broad here, I just want to focus on public health related things. So to date, multiple systemic reviews and meta-analytic studies demonstrate that even lay health workforces, that is community members without advanced mental health care trainings, can deliver effective mental health care based on the knowledge of in the interactions in the inclusive medicine. For the most common psychiatric disorders as well, so they can really provide them psychosocial treatments. And given the evidence supporting the use of community members in delivery of targeted and intensive mental health care, for example, I envision enabling community members to deliver all forms of public mental health interventions. So you can do this on Ayurvedic, on acupuncture-based, on just healing, touching, whatever. So, however, when we go to digitalization specifically, using AI-assisted devices, lay individuals in the community can help identify when their loved ones or fellow community members are distressed or in crisis, provide that identified person with, let's say, effective support, yeah, and escalate that person to appropriate levels of care when it is needed. So we need to harness digital technology to build capacity for the implementation of evidence-based medicine or mental health care, mental health intervention in non-specialist health workers as well, as they can, unlike AI-driven gadgets, connect to the person in need as humans. So technology such as this could be adapted and refined so that it can be used to support all people in supporting their loved ones, their patients, community members, you name it. Shifting the work of mental health promotion to all people is kind of universal public health strategy needed to move the needle and to attenuate the stigma associated with mental health disorders. I suggest that we should be able to ensure that everyone has the tools to intervene rather than unproductively worry when they are ready and willing. However, privacy concerns must be addressed, of course. As said, we must not further isolate individuals who need human connection the most just by referring them to robots or apps. To solve the mental health crisis, we need innovative, expensive solutions. And I believe that harnessing the power of people in mental health prevention and intervention delivery, supported by technology, may get us one step closer to improving public health, mental health, and integrative medicine. That's the synergy of people, digitized technology that would allow us to overcome the global mental health crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meissner. It's a big question and it needs an elaborated answer. Thank you very much for this question. And if you don't mind, we shall go to the next question, please.